The phone wouldn't stop ringing. Minho stared at the unknown number flashing across his screen, his jaw tight enough to crack teeth. Unknown calls meant one thing in his world: problems he didn't have time for. He was in the middle of negotiating a territory deal worth millions, surrounded by men who'd kill at his slightest nod, and some random caller had the audacity to interrupt. "Ignore it," he muttered to himself, turning back to the blueprints spread across the mahogany table. But the phone rang again. And again. On the fourth call, something shifted in his chest. A whisper of instinct he'd learned never to ignore. His finger hovered over the decline button, then pressed accept instead. This better be important. "Minho?" The voice was female, shaking, desperately trying to hold itself together. "Minho, please don't hang up. It's Maya. Olivia's sister." The room tilted. He hadn't heard that name in 9 months. Olivia Parker. The woman who'd walked out of his life without looking back, who'd signed divorce papers with tears streaming down her beautiful face, who'd told him she couldn't love a monster. "What do you want?" His voice came out colder than he intended. "It's Olivia." Maya's voice cracked. "She's been in an accident. A bad one. Delaware General Hospital. You need to come. Right now." "Why would I?" "Because there's something you don't know." Maya was sobbing now. "Something she should have told you 9 months ago. Something you need to see. Please, Minho. Just come." The line went dead. "Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you." Minho sat frozen for 3 seconds. Then he was moving. His second-in-command, Jae-sung, stood immediately. "Boss? What's wrong?" "I have to go." "Go where?" "We're in the middle of." "Handle it." Minho was already grabbing his jacket, his keys. "I'll be back." "Boss, you can't just leave. The Choi crew is waiting for an answer tonight. If we don't." Minho spun, and the look in his eyes made Jae-sung step back. "I said handle it." Jae-sung watched his boss leave, something unreadable flickering across his face. He pulled out his phone and typed a quick message: "He's on the move. Just like you said he would be." The drive to Delaware General took 23 minutes. Minho made it in 14, running 2 red lights and nearly sideswiping a taxi. His mind raced faster than the speedometer. Olivia. An accident. He'd spent 9 months trying to forget her. 9 months of drowning himself in work, in deals, in the kind of violence that used to come easy but now left him hollow. She'd been right to leave. He knew that. She was a civil rights attorney, a woman who believed in justice and truth and all those beautiful, naive things he'd stopped believing in years ago. They were oil and water. Fire and gasoline. Destruction waiting to happen. And yet, he'd loved her with a ferocity that terrified him. The hospital loomed ahead, harsh white lights cutting through the darkness. Minho abandoned his black Mercedes at the emergency entrance, ignoring the parking attendant's protests. His Italian shoes clicked sharply against linoleum as he strode through automatic doors. "Olivia Parker," he told the receptionist, his tone leaving zero room for delays. "Car accident." "Where is she?" The young woman's eyes widened at his intensity. "Sir, I need to check. Now." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "4th floor. ICU. But sir, visiting hours are over, and only family." Minho was already moving toward the elevators. The ride up felt endless. His reflection stared back at him from the polished doors, a man who looked nothing like the composed crime boss from 30 minutes ago. His dark hair was disheveled from running his hands through it. His eyes were wild, desperate, afraid. The elevator dinged. 4th floor. He stepped into a corridor that smelled of antiseptic and dying hope. A woman stood near the nurse's station, her face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking. Maya. She looked up as his footsteps approached, her brown eyes red and swollen. Then, to his shock, her expression hardened. Not relief. Anger. Minho. You actually came. Where is she? Still in surgery. They've been operating for 5 hours. Her voice was flat, controlled in a way that made him uneasy. Internal bleeding, fractured skull, collapsed lung. The doctors say the next 24 hours will determine everything. Minho felt like he'd been shot in the chest. What happened? Her brakes failed. On I-95, during rush hour. She hit the median going 70 miles an hour, then got hit by 2 other cars before anyone could stop. Maya's jaw tightened. The police are investigating, but Minho, brake lines don't just fail. Ice flooded his veins. No. They don't. Someone had tried to kill her. The realization settled over him with terrible clarity. This wasn't an accident. This was a message. Or revenge. Or a warning meant for him that had destroyed the only good thing he'd ever touched. You said there was something I needed to know, Minho said quietly. What is it? Maya stared at him for a long moment, and he saw something in her eyes he'd never seen before. Contempt. Follow me. She didn't wait for his response. Just turned and walked down a different corridor, away from the surgical wing. Minho followed, confusion mixing with dread. They passed rooms full of beeping machines and sleeping patients, turned 2 corners, then stopped in front of a door marked with a sign that made his heart stop. NICU, Neonatal Intensive Care Unit. Why are we here? His voice came out barely above a whisper. Maya pushed open the door without answering. Inside, soft lighting illuminated rows of incubators. Tiny babies slept in plastic cocoons, their little chests rising and falling in rhythm. A nurse looked up from her station, smiling gently. He's in the back, Maya said, her voice tight. Corner incubator. But Maya was already walking, and Minho's legs moved on autopilot. They passed sleeping infants, some so small they looked like dolls. His mind refused to process what was happening, what this meant, why Maya had brought him here. Then she stopped. Minho looked down into the incubator and forgot how to breathe. A baby. So small he could probably fit in Minho's hands. Hooked up to monitors and tubes, but breathing steadily, peacefully. The baby had a shock of dark hair and skin that was a perfect blend, golden brown with warm undertones. His tiny face was relaxed in sleep, one miniature fist curled near his mouth. This is Kai, Maya whispered. He's 3 months old. He was in the car seat during the accident. Minor injuries, some bruising, but the doctors say he'll be fine. 3 months old. The words echoed in Minho's head like gunshots. Olivia was pregnant. It wasn't a question. It was a statement of fact that was rewriting his entire reality. When we divorced. Yes. The single word hung in the air like a grenade. Minho's hands started shaking. He pressed them against the incubator, leaning forward, trying to remember how to breathe. His chest felt too tight, his throat too small. Everything in his peripheral vision was going dark except for this baby, this impossible, perfect baby. She was pregnant, he repeated, voice cracking. For 9 months, she was carrying my child, and she never told me. No. Maya's voice cut through the room like a blade. That's not what happened. Minho turned to look at her, confused. Maya's eyes were blazing now, tears streaming down her face. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of rage. She tried to tell you, Minho. 3 times. And you called her a liar. The words hit him like a physical blow. What? You want to know why you didn't know about your son? Maya's voice rose, and the nurse looked over in concern. Maya lowered her volume but not her intensity. Because you rejected him. You rejected both of them. So don't you dare stand there acting like she kept this from you. I don't understand. Then let me explain it to you. Maya pulled out her phone, fingers shaking. Olivia made me promise never to tell you this. She said you'd made your choice, and she had to respect it. But you know what? She's lying in an operating room fighting for her life, and you're here acting like the victim. So I'm done keeping her secrets. She pulled up a video and shoved the phone at him. Watch. The video showed the hallway outside Minho's office. The timestamp read March 15th, 11:47 a.m., 9 months ago. Olivia walked into frame, looking nervous. She wore a simple blue dress, her natural hair pulled back. She was carrying something, an envelope. She stood outside Minho's office door for a full minute, gathering courage, before finally knocking. The door opened. Minho appeared, on his phone, irritated at the interruption. The video had no audio, but Minho could see himself gesture for her to wait. He kept talking on the phone, pacing. Olivia stood there, clutching the envelope, her expression growing more anxious. Finally, he hung up. Olivia held out the envelope. Maya's voice narrated over the silent video. She was coming to tell you she was pregnant. She had an ultrasound in that envelope. 6 weeks along. On the video, Minho took the envelope. He opened it, pulled out what was clearly an ultrasound photo. His expression changed instantly. Not joy. Not surprise. Anger. Minho watched himself crumple the photo. Watched himself point at the door. Watched Olivia's face crumble. Watched her try to speak, watched himself cut her off with sharp gestures. Do you remember what you said to her? Maya asked quietly. And suddenly, Minho did remember. That had been the day after Jae-sung told him about the woman who'd tried to trap one of their lieutenants with a fake pregnancy. The woman who'd shown up with a fake ultrasound demanding money. Minho had been on the phone with his lawyer about it when Olivia knocked. And when she handed him that ultrasound. Oh God, Minho whispered. The memory flooded back with devastating clarity. Not you too, Olivia. I thought you were different. What? Minho, this is real. I'm pregnant with. Save it. I just dealt with this scam yesterday. Some girl tried to trap Jae-sung with a fake pregnancy. You think I'm stupid? We've been divorced for 3 weeks. Convenient timing. You think I would lie about this? I think you realized you made a mistake leaving me. You missed the money, the lifestyle. So you're trying to trap me back in. Did you even think this through? Get a fake ultrasound from the internet? Minho, please listen. Get out. And don't come back with fake ultrasounds trying to manipulate me. I'm done, Olivia. We're done. Minho stared at the phone screen, at the image of Olivia walking away from his office, her shoulders shaking with sobs, still clutching the crumpled ultrasound. That wasn't. He started, but his voice died. That wasn't what? Maya demanded. That wasn't your proudest moment? That wasn't you calling the woman who loved you a liar and a gold digger? There was another woman, Minho said weakly. The day before, someone tried to. I know about the other woman, Maya snapped. Olivia knew too. But she thought you'd know her well enough to know she'd never do something like that. She thought your love meant you'd at least listen to her. Minho's knees felt weak. I thought. I was so angry about the scam, I thought. You thought she was like everyone else in your world. Maya's voice was cold. You thought she'd use your child as a weapon. That's what you think of her. I need to sit down. You don't get to sit down. But Maya gestured to a chair anyway, and Minho collapsed into it. Because that's not even the worst part. There's more. Oh, there's so much more. Maya swiped to another video. This is 2 months later. This video was taken from across the street. Security camera footage. Minho recognized the location immediately, his gym in Wilmington. Olivia stood on the sidewalk, visibly pregnant now. She was wearing a loose dress that couldn't hide her swollen belly. She looked exhausted. Scared. The camera caught Minho exiting the gym with 3 of his men, Jae-sung among them. They were laughing about something. Olivia approached. The men stopped. Minho's expression went from surprise to cold in an instant. Again, no audio. But Minho remembered this too. Minho, please. Just look at me. I'm 5 months pregnant. This is your child. But Minho barely glanced at her, hyper-aware of his men watching, of how it would look if he showed weakness. I don't know what you want from me, but I already told you, I'm not falling for this. Find some other sucker to play. Jae-sung had smirked. Boss, you want me to handle this? No. She's not worth the trouble. She'll give up eventually. And he'd walked past her. Past his pregnant ex-wife. Like she was nothing. You humiliated her, Maya said, her voice shaking. In front of your men. She was 5 months pregnant, barely able to stand because she'd been vomiting all morning, and you treated her like she was garbage. Minho couldn't speak. He stared at the video of Olivia standing alone on that sidewalk, one hand on her swollen belly, watching him walk away. But she still tried one more time, Maya continued. Because she's a better person than you ever deserved. She pulled up a photo. A letter, handwritten in Olivia's careful script. Minho, Maya read aloud. I know you don't believe me. I understand why. Someone tried to scam your organization, and I showed up with similar claims right after. I can see how it looked suspicious. Her voice wavered, but she continued. But I'm begging you to look at the enclosed DNA results. I had amniocentesis done. These results prove that the baby I'm carrying is yours. Our son. Not a scam. Not a trap. Just the truth. Maya's tears were falling freely now. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you except for you to know that you have a son on the way. I thought he deserved to know his father, and you deserve to know he exists. But if you want nothing to do with us, I'll respect that. I'll raise him alone. I'll tell him his father was a good man once, before life made him hard. I'll make sure he knows both his heritages, Korean and African American, and that he should be proud of both. This is my last attempt. If you don't respond, I'll understand. I'll leave you alone. But please, Minho. Just look at the test results. You'll see I'm telling the truth. Olivia. She sent that with certified DNA results from a lab, Maya said. Proof that Kai was yours. Do you remember getting it? Minho's mind raced back. 5 months ago. He remembered a manila envelope arriving at his office. He'd opened it, seen Olivia's name on the return address, and... I threw it away, he whispered. I didn't even read it. I just saw her name and threw it away. Wrong. Maya's voice was sharp. You read it. Jae-sung told me. He said you sat at your desk for 20 minutes staring at those DNA results. He said you looked like you were going to cry. Like you were finally realizing what you'd done. Minho's head snapped up. Jae-sung told you that? Not me. Olivia. He called her himself. Told her you'd read the letter and thrown it in the trash. Told her you'd laughed about it, said she was pathetic for still trying. He said you told him to handle it if she showed up again. That's not, I never said, but Minho stopped. Because he had read it. He remembered now. He'd sat at his desk, staring at those DNA results, feeling doubt creep in for the first time. feeling the terrible possibility that he'd made a catastrophic mistake. And then Jae-sung had walked in. "Boss, you okay? You look stressed." "It's nothing. Just more of Olivia's games. She's still trying. Man, she's desperate. You dodged a bullet divorcing her." And Minho had forced a laugh. "Yeah. I did." He'd crumpled the letter and thrown it away, pushing down the doubt, the fear that he'd been wrong. But he'd never told Jae-sung to threaten her. Never told him to handle it. Jae-sung lied to her, Minho said slowly. "I don't care if he lied or not," Maya spat. "The point is, you threw away proof that Kai was yours. You rejected your son 3 times. So don't you dare stand in this NICU acting like Olivia kept him from you. She tried. You refused to listen." Minho stared down at the sleeping baby in the incubator. His son. The son he'd rejected 3 times without even knowing it. "Oh God," he whispered. "What have I done?" The nurse approached cautiously. "Excuse me. Are you family?" "I'm his father," Minho said automatically, though the words felt like lies. What kind of father rejects his own child? The nurse's expression softened. "Would you like to hold him?" Skin-to-skin contact is very beneficial for premature babies. Premature. Born at 35 weeks. Small but healthy. The accident caused early labor. The nurse began preparing the baby, checking monitors. "He's been doing very well, considering. Strong little fighter, just like his mama." The nurse carefully lifted Kai from the incubator and placed him in Minho's arms. Minho froze, terrified he'd break this fragile little creature. But then Kai's eyes opened, dark and unfocused, and looked up at him. The baby made a small sound, something between a coo and a sigh. Then his tiny hand reached out and grabbed Minho's finger with surprising strength. Everything stopped. For a moment, there was only this, his son's tiny hand wrapped around his finger, trusting, innocent, perfect. "Hello, Kai," Minho whispered, his voice breaking. "I'm your father. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." The baby yawned, his little face scrunching up. And Minho felt tears burning in his eyes for the first time in 15 years. Since he was a teenager watching his own father die, he hadn't cried. Crying was weakness. Vulnerability. A luxury men like him couldn't afford. But this overwhelming rush of love and shame and regret was too much to contain. A tear slipped down his cheek and landed on Kai's tiny hand. "She tried to tell you," Maya said quietly, her anger finally giving way to exhaustion. 3 times. And you destroyed her every time. You know what she told me after that last letter? She said, "He's made his choice. He doesn't want us. I have to accept that and protect Kai from the rejection." Minho's hands shook as he held his son. "I thought there was a scam. I thought she was. You thought she was capable of using a baby to manipulate you. You thought she was like everyone else in your world." Maya's voice was hollow now. "She loved you more than anything, Minho. She left you because she couldn't watch you become a monster, but she still loved you. And you treated that love like it was worthless. I was wrong." Minho stared down at Kai, at this perfect little human who existed because of one beautiful thing in his violent life. "I was so wrong. Maya, I swear I didn't know." "You didn't know because you didn't listen." Maya stood. "But it doesn't matter now. What matters is that someone tried to kill her. And our baby was in the car." Minho's jaw tightened, rage replacing the grief for a moment. "Who?" "I don't know. The police are investigating. Brake lines don't fail on their own. Someone cut them." Minho's voice went cold, deadly. Someone knew where she'd be, what car she drove. Someone wanted her dead. Why would anyone want to hurt her? She's been living like a ghost. Hospital, apartment, hospital. That's it. Her whole world has been Kai. Minho's mind raced. If this was connected to him, to his organization, then there were only a handful of people who even knew Olivia existed. The divorce had been handled quietly, and he'd made sure no one knew where she went afterward. Except Jae-sung. Jae-sung had been there for all of it. Jae-sung, who'd, coincidentally, told him about the pregnancy scam right before Olivia tried to tell him she was pregnant. Jae-sung, who'd called Olivia to tell her Minho had thrown away the DNA results. Jae-sung, who'd been in his office, who had access to everything. I need to make a call, Minho said, his voice tight. The nurse took Kai back carefully, returning him to the incubator. Minho watched his son settle back into sleep, feeling a piece of his heart stay in that room as he walked away. In the hallway, he pulled out his phone and dialed Dongwook, his head of security. The only man he trusted completely. I need you to look into something. My ex-wife, Olivia Parker, was in a car accident tonight. Vehicle's probably in a police impound. I need to know if those brakes were tampered with. Your ex-wife? Boss, I didn't even know you were. No one did. And Dongwook? Complete discretion. No one in the organization can know about this. Especially not Jae-sung. There was a pause. You think it's internal? I think I need to know for certain before I make any moves. Call me back as soon as you know. Minho hung up and leaned against the wall, his mind racing. If Jae-sung had orchestrated this, if he'd been manipulating things from the beginning. Mr. Kim? Minho turned. A doctor stood there, still in surgical scrubs, mask pulled down. His expression made Minho's stomach drop. I'm Dr. Chen. I've been operating on Olivia Parker. How is she? The surgery was successful in stopping the internal bleeding. We've stabilized her spine and relieved pressure on her brain. She's in critical condition, but stable. Minho felt his knees weaken with relief. Can I see her? She's being moved to the ICU now. But Mr. Kim, I need to be honest with you. She has significant head trauma. We've induced a medical coma to allow her brain to heal and reduce swelling. The next 72 hours are critical. Will she wake up? Dr. Chen hesitated. We're doing everything we can. But I can't make any promises. The injuries were severe. If she wakes up. The words echoed in Minho's mind like a death sentence. I want to be there when she's settled. I want to stay with her. Are you family? Our ICU policy. I'm the father of her child. Minho's voice left no room for argument. I'm staying. Dr. Chen nodded slowly. I'll have a nurse notify you when she's ready for visitors. 30 minutes later, Minho stood outside Olivia's ICU room, staring through the glass window. She lay motionless in the hospital bed, tubes and wires connecting her to a dozen different machines. Her beautiful dark skin looked ashen, her face bruised and swollen almost beyond recognition. A ventilator breathed for her with mechanical precision, her chest rising and falling artificially. Minho felt his world tilt. This vibrant, fierce woman who used to look at him like he'd hung the stars, now reduced to this. Broken. Barely alive. Because of him. Because his world had found her anyway. Maya stood beside him, her eyes red and raw from crying. Can I go in? Minho asked quietly. I don't think you have the right to. Please. He turned to look at her. I know I don't deserve it. I know I destroyed everything. But please, Maya. Let me sit with her. Let me tell her I'm sorry. Maya stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. She can't hear you. She's in a coma. I know. Then what's the point? Because I need to say it anyway. Maya pushed open the door, and Minho followed her inside. The machines beeped their steady rhythm. The ventilator hissed. Olivia didn't move, didn't respond to their presence. Minho moved to her bedside slowly, as if approaching something sacred and fragile. Her hand lay against the white sheets, and 4 taped to the back of it. He took it carefully, shocked by how cold her skin felt. "Olivia," he whispered. "I'm here. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything." The machines beeped. The ventilator hissed. She didn't move. Minho sank into the chair beside her bed, still holding her hand, and began to speak. "I met our son tonight. Kai. He's perfect, Olivia. He has your eyes, your beautiful skin. He grabbed my finger, and I fell apart. I've never felt anything like that. This overwhelming love and terror all at once." His voice cracked. "Maya told me what I did to you. She showed me the videos, the letter. And Olivia, I remember now. I remember all of it. I remember throwing away your ultrasound, walking past you on that street, tossing that DNA test in the trash. And I can't breathe when I think about what I did to you." A tear slipped down his cheek. "You tried to tell me 3 times. 3 times you reached out, and I destroyed you. I called you a liar. I humiliated you. I threw away proof of our son because I was too proud, too damaged, too convinced that everyone in my world was out to manipulate me." He brought her cold hand to his lips. "I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know that. I don't deserve to know Kai. I don't deserve to sit here beside you. But I'm begging you anyway, please wake up. Please come back. Because that little boy needs his mother. And I need the chance to spend the rest of my life trying to make this right." The machines beeped their steady rhythm. The ventilator hissed. She didn't move. Minho sat there in the darkness, holding the hand of the woman he'd loved and destroyed, and let himself cry for the first time in 15 years. His phone buzzed an hour later. Dongwook. Minho stepped into the hallway to take the call, not wanting to disturb the machines. "Talk to me." "Boss, you were right. The brake lines were cut. Clean job, professional. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing." Minho's blood turned to ice. How long had they been cut? Forensics estimates within the last 24 hours. The cuts were designed to fail gradually. She probably noticed the brakes getting soft but thought it was normal wear. By the time she realized it was serious, it was too late. Who knew where she was staying? That's the question. I'd been pulling surveillance footage from around her apartment and the hospital. "Boss, I found something you need to see." "What?" "A dark sedan. Same one, parked in different locations near her apartment for the past 2 weeks. Rotated license plates, but I managed to track it. The car is registered to a shell company." Minho's jaw clenched. "Whose shell company?" "Jae-sung's." The word hit Minho like a physical blow. "You're certain?" "Positive. I have the registration records, the LLC paperwork. It's buried under 3 layers, but it's his." Minho closed his eyes, fury and betrayal warring inside him. Jae-sung. His second in command. His right hand for 7 years. The man he'd trusted with his life. "There's more," Dongwook continued. "I checked our office phone records. 5 months ago, someone from our main line called the hospital where Olivia delivered. The call lasted 7 minutes. The hospital's notes say they spoke to Mr. Kim's assistant to notify him of the birth and provide information about adding him to the birth certificate. I never got that message." "I know. Because it never reached you." The call was routed through Jae-sung's extension. Minho's hand tightened around the phone until he heard the case crack. "He's been orchestrating this from the beginning," Minho said slowly. He told me about the pregnancy scam right before Olivia tried to tell me. He intercepted the hospital call. He lied to Olivia, told her I'd laughed about her letter. And now he's tried to kill her. Boss, if he's planning a coup, this makes sense. If you'd known about the baby, you would have pulled away from the organization to protect your family. You would have become distracted, vulnerable. The perfect time for him to make a move. Where is he now? At the warehouse in Edgemoor. He called a meeting with 5 of his lieutenants for tonight. Boss, I think he's making his move now, while you're distracted at the hospital. Get me eyes and ears on that warehouse. I want audio, video, everything. But do it quietly. He can't know we're onto him. Already on it. Boss, what about protection for the hospital? Pull 8 men from the security detail. People we trust absolutely. Put them on this floor and in the NICU. No one gets near Olivia or Kai without going through them. Done. Min-ho. I'm sorry. About your son. About everything. Just get me that surveillance. Min-ho hung up and stood in the hallway, his mind racing. Jae-sung had manipulated everything. The timing, the information, the fear. He'd used Min-ho's own paranoia against him, had weaponized the pregnancy scam to make sure Min-ho would reject Olivia when she tried to tell him the truth. And then he tried to kill her to tie up loose ends. Min-ho walked back into Olivia's room. Maya had fallen asleep in the corner chair, exhausted from hours of crying. He moved quietly to Olivia's bedside and took her hand again. I know who did this, he whispered. I know who tried to kill you. And Olivia, I swear to you, I'm going to end this. I'm going to make sure you and Kai are safe. And then I'm going to become the man you always wanted me to be. He leaned close to her ear. I'm walking away from all of it. The organization, the violence, the empire. I'm going to turn myself in, give them everything they need to dismantle it all. Because you were right, this life is poison. And I won't let it touch our son. Her hand twitched slightly in his. Just a small movement, but enough to make his heart leap. Olivia? Can you hear me? Nothing. Just the steady beep of the machines. Please wake up. Please. I need you to wake up. Kai needs you. I need you. Still nothing. A nurse entered to check vitals. You should get some rest, Mr. Kim. We'll call if there's any change. I'm not leaving. The nurse looked like she wanted to argue, then saw the look in his eyes and simply nodded. Min-ho sat back down, still holding Olivia's hand, and prepared for a long night. At 2:47 a.m., his phone buzzed with a message from Dong-wook, audio is live. You need to hear this. Min-ho slipped his earpiece in and listened. Jae-sung's voice came through clearly, echoing in the empty warehouse. Distracted with the woman and the baby. He's been at that hospital for hours. This is our window. You sure he doesn't know? Another voice asked. Min-ho recognized it as Han, one of Jae-sung's lieutenants. How would he know? I've been careful. The car that tailed her can't be traced back to me directly. The brake lines were cut professionally. And even if the cops figure out it was sabotage, they'll assume it's connected to her work, not to us. Her work, another voice, Park, Min-ho thought. She's a civil rights attorney. Makes enemies. It'll be easy to plant evidence that one of her cases came back to haunt her. Min-ho's blood boiled. What about the kid? Someone asked. A pause. Collateral damage, Jae-sung said coldly. If the crash had killed them both, it would have been cleaner. But the kid survived. Once we take control, we'll handle it. Handle it how? Use your imagination. Min-ho's vision went red. He had to force himself to keep listening, to not storm out of the hospital and drive straight to that warehouse. The boss has been soft ever since he married her, Jae-sung continued. letting his guard down, questioning the way we handle territory disputes. He actually suggested we negotiate with the Choi crew instead of sending a message. Negotiate. Like we're running a legitimate business. Laughter from the others. He's not fit to lead anymore, Jae-sung said. And once word spreads about the kid, about him having a mixed-race son with some American woman, the old-timers will turn on him. They already whisper about him dishonoring tradition by marrying outside our culture. This will be the final straw. And you'll step up, Han said. We'll step up, Jae-sung corrected. This won't be a one-man operation. Everyone in this room will have a seat at the table. Equal shares, equal power. That's why I brought you here tonight. What about his loyalists? Dong-wook, Chen, the others? Dong-wook will fall in line once he sees who has the power. He's practical. As for the others, we'll deal with them as needed. But most of the men are already with us. They're just waiting for someone to make the move. When? Tomorrow night. While he's still at the hospital grieving. We'll call an emergency meeting, claim there's a crisis that needs immediate attention. When he shows up, we'll have the votes to remove him. Peaceful transition of power. The organization stays intact, just under new management. And if he doesn't accept it peacefully? A dark chuckle. Then it won't be peaceful. Minho pulled out the earpiece, his jaw clenched so hard it ached. So that was the plan. Use his grief, his distraction, to stage a coup. Paint him as weak, as dishonored, as unfit to lead. And if he resisted, they'd kill him. And after that, they'd come for Kai. To eliminate any potential future claim to leadership. To erase Minho's legacy completely. Over his dead body. But as Minho looked at Olivia lying unconscious in that hospital bed, at the machines keeping her alive, a realization settled over him. He could fight this the old way. He could call in his loyalists, arm them, storm that warehouse and paint the walls with Jae-sung's blood. It's what he would have done a year ago. Hell, it's what he would have done yesterday. But that's not what Olivia would want. She'd left him because of the violence. Because she couldn't watch him solve every problem with blood and bullets. Because she wanted their child to grow up in a world where problems were solved with justice, not vengeance. If he stormed that warehouse, he'd be proving Jae-sung right. He'd be proving he was still the monster Olivia had walked away from. And he'd be teaching Kai that violence was the answer. Minho looked down at Olivia's hand in his, at the engagement ring she still wore on a chain around her neck despite the divorce. The nurse had removed it during surgery and placed it back after, a simple gold band with a small diamond. Nothing flashy. She'd always said she didn't need expensive jewelry. She just needed him. And he'd failed her in every way that mattered. But he could change that. Starting now. Minho pulled out his phone and made a call he never thought he'd make. Delaware State Police, how may I direct your call? I need to speak to Detective Sarah Martinez. It's urgent. Tell her it's about the Olivia Parker case. 3 hours later, Minho sat in an interrogation room at the Delaware State Police headquarters, facing Detective Martinez and an FBI agent named Torres. Let me get this straight, Detective Martinez said, her dark eyes sharp and assessing. You're Minho Kim, alleged leader of the Korean organized crime syndicate operating in Delaware. And you're here to, what? Confess? I'm here to make a deal, Minho said calmly. Full immunity for myself and complete protection for Olivia Parker and our son in exchange for everything. Names, locations, account numbers, operation details. Everything you need to dismantle 3 major criminal organizations operating in Delaware and up the East Coast. Agent Torres leaned forward. Why would you do that? You're giving up an empire. Because that empire just tried to kill the mother of my child. Minho's voice was cold. And because I'm done. I'm done with the violence, the bloodshed, the constant looking over my shoulder. I'm done being the person my son will be ashamed of. Your son is 3 months old, Detective Martinez said. He won't even remember this. Exactly. Which means I have a chance to become someone worth remembering. Someone worth being proud of. But only if I end this now, the right way. The right way, Agent Torres repeated. You want us to believe you've suddenly grown a conscience? I want you to believe I love my son more than I love power. Minho met his eyes steadily. And I want to make sure the man who tried to kill his mother faces justice. Real justice. Not my version of it. Detective Martinez and Agent Torres exchanged glances. Who tried to kill Olivia Parker? Martinez asked. My second-in-command, Jae-sung Park. He's been planning a coup for months. He cut her brake lines to eliminate her as a distraction, and to hurt me psychologically before making his move. Tonight, he's meeting with 5 of his lieutenants to finalize plans to remove me from power tomorrow. You have proof? Minho pulled out his phone and played the audio recording from the warehouse. By the time it finished, both agents were leaning forward, eyes wide. We need to move on this tonight, Torres said to Martinez. If they're planning to move tomorrow. I have surveillance on the warehouse, Minho interrupted. Audio and video. My head of security, Dong-wook, can provide you with everything. But I want guarantees first. Full immunity for me, witness protection for Olivia and Kai if needed, and I want Jae-sung arrested tonight before he can hurt anyone else. You're in no position to make demands, Martinez said. Actually, I am. Because without my testimony and evidence, you have nothing. Jae-sung's too smart to leave a trail. But I can give you everything. Bank records proving money laundering. Communication logs proving RICO violations. Testimony about murders, extortion, trafficking. Everything. In exchange for walking free, Torres said flatly. In exchange for the chance to be a father, Minho corrected. I don't care about walking free. I care about making sure my son doesn't grow up visiting me in prison. That he doesn't grow up knowing his father was a criminal who chose violence over family. The 2 agents looked at each other again. Give us a moment, Martinez said. They stepped outside. Through the window, Minho could see them making phone calls, conferring with superiors. His phone buzzed. A text from the hospital, no change in patient's condition. Minho closed his eyes and sent a silent prayer to whatever gods might be listening. Please let her wake up. Please let me have the chance to make this right. The door opened. Martinez and Torres returned. We'll need everything, Torres said. Full cooperation. Every detail, every name, every operation. You'll wear a wire if needed. You'll testify in court. And if we find out you've held anything back, the deal is void. Understood. And we move on Jae-sung Park tonight. We'll have units in position within the hour. Minho nodded. I want to be there when you arrest him. Absolutely not, Martinez said. You're a civilian now. You'll stay here and start giving us information. He tried to kill the mother of my child. I deserve to see his face when he realizes he's lost. No, Torres said firmly. But we'll let you watch from the surveillance van. That's as close as you get. It wasn't enough. Minho wanted to see Jae-sung's face personally, wanted to tell him exactly how badly he'd underestimated him. But Olivia's voice echoed in his head, from one of their last arguments before the divorce. Not everything has to be solved with your presence and your power, Minho. Sometimes justice works better when you're not the one delivering it. She'd been right then. She was right now. Fine, Minho said. I'll watch from the van. At 4:17 a.m., Minho sat in an FBI surveillance van parked 3 blocks from the Edgemore warehouse. Around him, agents monitored screens showing multiple camera angles of the building. Jae-sung and his 5 lieutenants were still inside, planning their coup. All units in position, a voice crackled through the radio. We have the building surrounded. SWAT is ready to breach on your command. Agent Torres, sitting beside Minho, keyed his radio. Hold for my signal. Let's give them a chance to surrender first. He picked up a bullhorn. Jae-sung Park, this is the FBI. We have the building surrounded. Come out with your hands up. You're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and RICO violations. On the screens, Minho watched Jae-sung and his men freeze. Jae-sung pulled out his phone, probably trying to call someone. Then his face changed as he realized what was happening. Someone talked, Han said on the audio feed. Someone fucking talked. It was him, Jae-sung snarled. It had to be. That bastard set us up. This is your last warning, Torres continued over the bullhorn. Come out now, or we're coming in. For a long moment, nothing moved in the warehouse. Then Jae-sung's voice came over a speaker system. We want to negotiate. We have information you want. No negotiations, Torres replied. You have 30 seconds to exit the building with your hands up. On screen, Jae-sung looked at his men. We're not going down without. Breach, 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 someone shouted over the radio. Flashbang grenades exploded in the warehouse. SWAT teams poured in from 3 entrances. On screen, Minho watched his former second-in-command and his conspirators hit the ground, hands over their heads, as federal agents swarmed them. It was over in less than 2 minutes. They hauled Jae-sung out in handcuffs, and Minho finally got his wish. He saw Jae-sung's face as they dragged him past the surveillance van. The recognition was instant. Jae-sung's eyes locked onto Minho through the tinted window, even though he shouldn't have been able to see inside. And Minho smiled coldly. Jae-sung started screaming. You're a dead man, Minho. You hear me? You can't run from this. The organization will never let you go. You're a traitor. A traitor. The agents shoved him into a police car, his screams cutting off as the door slammed shut. Torres turned to Minho. Feel better? Not even a little bit, Minho said honestly. Not until Olivia wakes up. Then let's get you back to the hospital. We'll need you to come in tomorrow to start giving us details. But for tonight, go be with your family. Family. The word felt foreign and wonderful and terrifying all at once. Minho nodded and stepped out of the van. He returned to Delaware General just as dawn was breaking over the city. The ICU was quiet, most patients still sleeping. Maya was awake, sitting beside Olivia's bed, holding her hand. She looked up when Minho entered, her expression guarded. Any change? He asked quietly. No. Minho moved to the other side of the bed. I arrested the man who did this. Jae-sung Park, my second-in-command. He cut her brake lines because he was planning a coup and she was in the way. Maya's eyes widened. You arrested him? How? I turned myself in. Gave the FBI everything they needed to bring down my entire organization. Jae-sung, his conspirators, everyone. In exchange for immunity and protection for Olivia and Kai. You gave up your empire? It was never mine, Minho said quietly. It was a prison I built for myself. And I'm done being trapped in it. Maya stared at him for a long moment. She'd be proud of you. For doing it the right way. I'm not doing it for pride. I'm doing it because it's what she always wanted. What Kai deserves. Still. It's the right thing. They sat in silence for a while, both watching Olivia's chest rise and fall with the ventilator. I need to go check on Kai, Maya finally said. The nurse said he was fussy earlier. Will you stay with her? I'm not going anywhere. After Maya left, Minho took Olivia's hand and began to speak softly. I ended it, Olivia. All of it. Jae-sung's in custody. The FBI has everything they need to dismantle my organization. I testified against them all. And I'm walking away, from the violence, from the empire, from everything you always hated about me. He brought her hand to his lips. I know you can't hear me. The doctors say you're too deep in the coma. But I'm telling you anyway because I need you to know, I'm becoming the man you always believed I could be. The man who deserves to be Kai's father. Silence, except for the machines. So please wake up. Please come back to us. Because I can't do this without you. I don't know how to be a good father. I don't know how to live a normal life. I need you to teach me. Nothing. Minho laid his head down on the bed beside her hand and closed his eyes, exhaustion finally catching up with him. He was asleep within minutes. He woke to someone squeezing his hand. At first, he thought he'd dreamed it. But then it happened again, a weak squeeze, but definitely intentional. Minho's head shot up. Olivia's eyes were open. Just barely, just slits, but open. Olivia? His voice came out as a croak. Olivia, can you hear me? She squeezed his hand again. Oh God. Minho lunged for the call button, slamming it repeatedly. I need a doctor. She's awake. She's waking up. Nurses rushed in, followed by Dr. Chen. They swarmed the bed, checking vitals, shining lights in her eyes, asking her to squeeze their hands. Miss Parker, can you hear me? Dr. Chen asked. Squeeze my hand if you can hear me. She squeezed. Excellent. Do you know where you are? Olivia's lips moved, but no sound came out. The ventilator was still in. We're going to remove the breathing tube, okay? It's going to be uncomfortable, but it'll only take a moment. They removed the tube, and Olivia coughed, her face scrunching in pain. Easy, easy, Dr. Chen soothed. Just breathe normally. Don't try to talk yet. But Olivia's eyes were scanning the room, panicked, searching. Kai, she croaked out. Where's Kai? He's safe, Minho said immediately, moving closer despite the nurses trying to keep him back. He's in the NICU. He's perfectly safe. Maya's with him right now. Her eyes found his face, and he saw the moment recognition hit. Not relief. Not joy. Anger. You, she whispered, her voice raspy from the tube. Get out. The words hit harder than any physical blow. Olivia, please. Get out. Each word was an effort, but the fury behind them was unmistakable. Miss Parker, you need to rest, Dr. Chen said. Your body has been through. Get him out. She was looking at Minho with such hatred it made him want to collapse. Get him out of my room. Olivia, I know you're angry. I know what I did. You don't know anything. Her voice was getting stronger, fueled by rage. You called me a liar. You threw me away. 3 times. And now you're here, playing concerned, because Maya told you about Kai. Tears were streaming down her face, mixing with the bruises. Well, guess what? You don't get to be concerned. You don't get to play hero now. You made your choice, 9 months ago. I was wrong, Minho said, his voice breaking. I was so wrong, Olivia. Please, just let me. Security. Olivia's voice was raw, desperate. Get him out. Dr. Chen put a hand on Minho's arm. Mr. Kim, I think it's best if you leave for now. She needs to rest, and this is causing her distress. Her blood pressure is spiking. Minho looked at Olivia, at the woman he'd loved and destroyed, and saw nothing in her eyes but betrayal and fury. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. Your apology means nothing. Olivia turned her face away from him. Nothing. A security guard appeared in the doorway. Minho backed away slowly, his heart shattering with each step. I'll go. But Olivia, please no, I ended it. Jae-sung's in custody. Your brake lines were cut deliberately. He was trying to kill you. But he's arrested now, and I've given the FBI everything. You're safe. Kai's safe. She didn't look at him. Didn't acknowledge he'd spoken. Please leave, Mr. Kim, Dr. Chin said firmly. Minho left. In the hallway, he collapsed against the wall, his breath coming in ragged gasps. His chest felt like it was being crushed. Like he couldn't get enough air. She hated him. He'd known she would, but seeing that fury and betrayal in her eyes, was worse than he'd imagined. Maya appeared at the end of the hallway, Kai bundled in her arms. She took one look at Minho's face and stopped. She's awake, Minho managed to say. She's awake and she wants nothing to do with me. Maya's expression softened slightly. What did you expect? That she'd wake up and forgive you instantly? No. He looked at his son, sleeping peacefully in Maya's arms, unaware of the destruction around him. I hoped she'd at least let me explain. She's been in a coma for 48 hours after someone tried to murder her. She woke up in agony to find the man who rejected her baby 3 times sitting at her bedside. How did you think she'd react? I know. You're right. Minho straightened up, wiping his face. Can I at least see Kai? For a minute? Maya hesitated, then nodded. 1 minute. Then you need to give them space. She carefully transferred the baby into Minho's arms. Kai stirred, his little face scrunching up, then settled against Minho's chest with a small sigh. Hey, little man, Minho whispered. Your mom's awake. She's going to be okay. And I'm going to make sure you both have everything you need, even if she never forgives me. Even if I never get to be a real part of your life. You'll be safe, provided for, loved. I promise. He kissed Kai's forehead gently, then handed him back to Maya. Tell her I'm leaving. I won't bother her again. But I'll pay for everything, her medical bills, Kai's care, an apartment, whatever she needs. And if she ever wants to let me be part of his life, even just supervised visits, I'll be there. But I won't force it. I won't push. It's her choice now. Minho. Take care of them, Maya. Please. He walked away before she could respond, before he could break down completely in that hospital hallway. 2 days of grueling testimony later, Minho sat in an FBI conference room, surrounded by agents and prosecutors, going through the final details of his cooperation. He'd been there for 6 hours, meticulously outlining every operation, every transaction, every crime he'd committed or ordered over the past decade. His empire was burning to the ground, and he was the one holding the torch. His phone buzzed. The hospital. He grabbed it immediately, his heart pounding. Hello? Mr. Kim, this is Dr. Chin. I'm calling because Miss Parker has asked to see you. Minho almost dropped the phone. She has? Yes. She's being moved out of the ICU today into a regular room. She's asked if you'd be willing to come by this afternoon. She says she has something to tell you. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Mr. Kim, I should warn you, she's still very weak. Please don't upset her or... I understand. I'll be there. He hung up and looked at Agent Torres. I have to go. Family emergency. Torres nodded. We're almost done here anyway. We'll schedule another session for tomorrow. Minho practically ran out of the building. He arrived at the hospital to find Olivia sitting up in bed, no longer connected to a dozen machines. She looked better, still bruised, still exhausted, but alert. Alive. Maya sat beside her, holding Kai. When Minho entered, Maya stood. I'll give you two some privacy. She took Kai and left the room. Minho stood awkwardly in the doorway. You asked to see me? Close the door, Olivia said. Her voice was still rough, but stronger than before. He did. Sit down. He sat in the chair across from her bed, not daring to get too close. They looked at each other in silence for a long moment. Maya told me what you did, Olivia finally said. About Jae-sung. About the FBI. About giving up your organization. I meant what I said. I'm done with that life. Why? Her eyes were sharp, searching. Why now? Because I almost lost you. Both of you. Minho's voice was raw. And I realized that everything I'd built, everything I thought made me strong, it was all worthless if it cost me my family. Your family, Olivia repeated. That's a funny thing to call us, considering you didn't know we existed 3 days ago. I should have known. I should have listened to you. All 3 times, I should have. Stop. Olivia held up a hand. I don't want apologies. I want the truth. When Maya showed you those videos, when you heard what Jae-sung said about Kai, what did you feel? Minho took a breath. Shame. Grief. Fury at myself for being so blind, so arrogant. And love. Overwhelming, terrifying love for a child I just met. And for me? He met her eyes. Everything. I felt everything. All the love I'd tried to bury when you left. All the regret. All the knowledge that I destroyed the best thing in my life because I was too damaged to see the truth. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. You broke my heart, Minho. Not once. 3 times. Do you understand what that did to me? I was alone, pregnant, terrified. And the man I loved more than anything kept throwing me away like garbage. I know. And I will never. I'm not done. Her voice was sharp. Every night, I cried myself to sleep wondering what I'd done wrong. Wondering if I was really just another scam artist to you, if our entire marriage had been meaningless. I questioned everything. Minho felt like he was being flayed alive, but he didn't look away. He owed her this. And then Kai was born, Olivia continued, tears streaming down her face now. And he looked just like you. Same dark hair, same serious expression. And I hated how much I still loved you. Even after everything you'd done, I looked at our son and all I could think was, I wish his father could see him. I wish Minho was here. Olivia. But you weren't. Because you'd decided I was lying. You'd decided our love wasn't worth believing in. I was wrong, Minho said, his own tears falling now. You're right. About everything. I failed you in every way a man can fail the woman he loves. And I will regret it for the rest of my life. They sat in painful silence. Dr. Chen told me about the surveillance, Olivia said quietly. About how Jae-sung's men had been watching me for weeks. That he cut my break lines. He wanted you dead before he made his move against me. You and Kai both. Olivia's hand moved to her stomach, as if she could still protect the baby that was no longer there. And you gave up everything to stop him. It wasn't enough. It'll never be enough. No, Olivia agreed. It won't. But... She took a shaky breath. But Maya said you'd been learning Igbo. Is that true? Minho nodded. I want to teach Kai about your culture, not just mine. I want him to grow up proud of both sides of himself. Why? Because you were right. About everything. Our son deserves better than what I am. But maybe I can become better. For him. Olivia wiped her eyes. I can't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. What you did. Minho, it destroyed something inside me. I know. But. She took another breath. But you're his father. And despite everything, you love him. I can see that. Maya can see it. Even Dr. Chen said you sat with me for 12 hours straight before I woke up, talking to me, telling me about him. Minho didn't trust himself to speak. So here's what's going to happen, Olivia said, her voice gaining strength. You're going to prove to me that you've changed. Not with words. With actions. You're going to finish cooperating with the FBI. You're going to find honest work. You're going to build a life that has nothing to do with violence or crime or that world you came from. I will. I swear I will. And you can see Kai. Supervised visits, 3 times a week to start. We'll meet at neutral locations. You'll get to hold him, feed him, be his father. But Minho, if you ever bring that world near him, if you ever put him in danger, I will disappear so completely you'll never find us. Do you understand? Yes. And as for us. She paused. There is no us. Not now. Maybe not ever. I'm not the woman who married you. That woman died when you threw her away for the 3rd time. I'm someone different now. Someone harder. Someone who will protect her son above all else. I understand. But, Olivia said softly, if you prove to me that you've really changed, if you show me over time that you're the man I always believed you could be, then maybe. Someday. We can talk about being friends. Co-parents. Maybe more. But you have to earn it, Minho. Every single day, you have to earn it. Minho stood and dropped to his knees beside her bed. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you for giving me a chance. I won't waste it. I promise you, Olivia, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you. Worthy of him. She looked down at him, this powerful man on his knees, and something shifted in her eyes. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But maybe the possibility of it. Get up, she said. And go meet your son properly. Maya's waiting in the NICU with him. Minho stood on shaky legs. One more thing, Olivia said as he reached the door. The Igbo lessons? He turned back. I'll teach you, she said. So you can teach him. Once a week. Consider it part of proving you've changed. Minho smiled through his tears. Once a week. I'll be there. Now go meet your son. Minho left the room and headed to the NICU, where Maya waited with Kai. For the first time in 3 days, he felt something he thought he'd lost forever. Hope. 6 months passed like turning pages in a book. Minho stood at the edge of a small park in a quiet Wilmington neighborhood, watching Olivia push Kai on a baby swing. At 8 months old, Kai squealed with delight every time the swing went up, his chubby hands gripping the safety bar. Higher, Alma. Higher. Olivia laughed, pushing him a little higher. That's as high as we go, baby. Any higher and you'll fly away. I wanna fly. Minho smiled from his spot on the bench. This was their Wednesday routine, one of 3 days a week he got to spend with Kai. 2 hours each time, usually at the park or Olivia's apartment, always with her present. He'd kept every single appointment. Never missed one. Never been late. He'd also kept every promise. He'd finished cooperating with the FBI. His testimony had led to 47 arrests and the complete dismantling of 3 criminal organizations. He'd found legitimate work as a security consultant for non-profit organizations. He'd continued his Igbo lessons with Olivia every Sunday. And he'd spent hundreds of hours in therapy, trying to unpack the trauma and paranoia that had led him to reject his own son. Appa. Watch me. Kai called out, kicking his legs. I'm watching, buddy. You're doing great. Olivia lifted Kai out of the swing and set him on the ground. He immediately toddled over to Minho on unsteady legs, arms outstretched. Minho scooped him up, settling him on his lap. Did you have fun swinging? Yeah. Higher next time? We'll see what your Amma says. Olivia joined them on the bench, sitting on the other side with a comfortable distance between them. But it was progress. 6 months ago, she wouldn't have sat on the same bench at all. How was class today? She asked. Good. Marcus is ready for his blue belt. I'm really proud of him. He's lucky to have you as a mentor. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Kai play with Minho's fingers, trying to fit them in his mouth. I have a court date next week, Minho said quietly. Final sentencing hearing. The prosecution is recommending the immunity deal go through since I've upheld my end. That's good news. Yeah. He paused. If it goes through, I'll be completely free. Legally, at least. Olivia looked at him carefully. And how do you feel about that? Honestly? I feel like I don't deserve it. 47 people are going to prison because of my testimony. People I worked with for years. And I get to walk free. You also prevented how many future crimes? How many future victims? That's what my therapist says. Your therapist is right. Olivia reached over and adjusted Kai's hat. You're making amends, Minho. That's what matters. He looked at her, really looked at her. She was different than she'd been 6 months ago. Harder, like she'd said. But also stronger. She'd recovered from her injuries remarkably well, returned to work part-time, and had even taken on a new high-profile civil rights case. She was magnificent. I'm proud of you, Minho said suddenly. Olivia blinked in surprise. What? I'm proud of you. For surviving. For being the strongest person I know. For still letting me be part of Kai's life even though I didn't deserve it. She looked away, but not before he saw the emotion flash across her face. You're not the only one in therapy, she said quietly. I've been going too. Dealing with the trauma of the accident, the betrayal, all of it. My therapist says I need to work on forgiveness. Not for you. For me. So I'm not carrying this anger around forever. Have you? Forgiven me? Olivia was quiet for a long moment, watching Kai giggle as Minho made silly faces at him. I'm working on it, she finally said. Some days are easier than others. Some days I look at you with him and I think, this is how it should have been from the beginning. We should have been a family. And some days I look at you and all I can see is your face when you told me I was lying, and I get angry all over again. That's fair. But, she continued, I can also see how hard you're trying. How much you've changed. You're not the same man who threw me away. You're different. Better. Minho felt his throat tighten. Thank you. That means everything. Kai started to fuss, and Olivia checked her watch. It's getting close to his nap time. We should probably head back. Minho handed Kai back reluctantly, kissing his forehead first. Be good for your mama, okay? Appa, Kai said, reaching for him. I'll see you Friday, Minho promised. We'll go to the aquarium like we planned. He'll love that. They walked back to where their cars were parked. As Olivia buckled Kai into his car seat, Minho gathered his courage. Olivia? Yeah? Would you maybe want to have coffee sometime? Not on one of our scheduled days. Just coffee. So we can talk. About things other than Kai's feeding schedule and doctor's appointments. She straightened up, studying him. Are you asking me on a date, Minho? No. Not a date. I know that's not. I mean, I just thought. He fumbled with his words, suddenly nervous in a way he hadn't been since their first meeting years ago. I miss talking to you. I miss your mind, your opinions. I miss you, Olivia. Not as Kai's mother. As you. She leaned against her car, considering. 1 coffee. Public place. 1 hour. And Minho, I'm not promising anything beyond that. This isn't me saying I forgive you or that we're getting back together. I know. 1 coffee. That's all I'm asking. Okay. Sunday afternoon, after our Igbo lesson. There's a cafe near my place. I'll be there. She smiled, the first real, genuine smile he'd seen from her in months. Then it's a date. A friend date. A co-parent coffee. Whatever you want to call it. I'll take it. He watched her drive away, Kai visible in the rearview mirror, already falling asleep. Minho stood in that parking lot for a long time, feeling something he hadn't felt in nearly a year. Real, genuine hope. Not the desperate, fragile hope from 6 months ago. But solid hope. Earned hope. The kind that came from showing up every day, from doing the work, from proving through action that he'd changed. He pulled out his phone and texted his therapist. She said yes to coffee. Just coffee. But it's a start. The response came a minute later. Small steps lead to big changes. Proud of you. Minho got in his car and headed to his apartment, a modest 2-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood, nothing like the penthouse he used to own. He'd furnished it simply, but one entire wall was covered with photos of Kai. Every milestone, every smile, every moment Minho had been privileged enough to witness. He'd also framed the crumpled ultrasound he'd thrown away, the one he'd retrieved from the trash after learning the truth. It sat on his nightstand as a reminder. Never again would he let pride and paranoia blind him to the truth. Never again would he reject something precious because he was too damaged to see its value. His phone rang. Dongwook. Boss, sorry, old habit. Minho. It's fine. What's up? Just checking in. Making sure you're still alive and not doing anything stupid. Minho smiled. After the arrests, Dongwook had walked away from the organization too. He'd taken his savings and opened a restaurant in Busan like he'd always wanted. They talked every few weeks. I'm good. Better than good, actually. Olivia agreed to have coffee with me. Yeah? That's progress. It's something. How's the kid? Perfect. He said Appa for the first time last week. Clear as day. Dongwook laughed. You're completely gone on this kid, aren't you? Completely, Minho admitted. I didn't know it was possible to love someone this much. To be this terrified of screwing it up. You won't. You're not that guy anymore. Some days I'm not sure. I am. You gave up everything for them. That's not the action of a man who's going to screw up. They talked for a few more minutes before hanging up. Minho made himself dinner, nothing fancy, just rice and vegetables, and ate while reading a book on child development. He'd been devouring parenting books, trying to make up for lost time, trying to understand what Kai needed at each stage. Later, as he lay in bed, his phone buzzed with a text from Olivia. He's asking for you. Won't go to sleep. Can you FaceTime for 5 minutes? Minho called immediately. Olivia's face filled the screen, Kai visible behind her in his crib, standing up and crying. Hey, buddy, Minho said gently. Why aren't you sleeping? Kai's crying stopped instantly. He pressed his face against the crib bars, staring at the phone. Appa. That's right. Appa's here. But you need to go to sleep now, okay? It's bedtime. Minho began singing softly in Korean, a lullaby his own mother had sung to him before she died. He'd never sung it for anyone else. Had never thought he'd have a reason to. Kai's eyes started to droop. Sarangi, Minho whispered. I love you. Sarangi, Olivia's voice echoed softly off-screen. Kai's eyes closed, and within a minute, he was asleep. Thank you, Olivia said, her face coming back into view. He's been doing this for the past week. Won't settle unless he hears your voice. I'm glad he finds it comforting. Min-ho. Olivia hesitated. I've been thinking. About the coffee on Sunday. Maybe we could extend it. Make it lunch instead. His heart leaped. Really? Just lunch. As friends. But yes. I think I'd like that. I'd like that too. Very much. Okay. Then it's lunch. Olivia? Yeah? Thank you. For giving me another chance. I know how hard it must be. She smiled sadly. It is. But you're making it easier. Every day, you're making it easier to trust you again. That's all I want. To earn your trust back. You're doing it. Slowly. But you're doing it. They said goodnight, and Min-ho set his phone down, staring at the ceiling. 6 months ago, he'd stood in a hospital hallway, certain he'd lost everything that mattered. Now, he had supervised visits with his son 3 times a week. He had Igbo lessons with Olivia every Sunday. He had lunch, not just coffee, lunch, scheduled for this weekend. It wasn't everything. Not yet. But it was something. And something was infinitely better than nothing. Min-ho closed his eyes and let himself imagine a future he barely dared to hope for. A future where Olivia smiled at him without that guardedness in her eyes. Where he could hold Kai without supervision. Where maybe, just maybe, they could be a family again. Not the broken family they'd been before. But something new. Something built on honesty and trust and real change, not just promises. He fell asleep with that image in his mind. And for the first time in months, he didn't have nightmares. 1 year melted into seasons of change. The beach house was small, nothing fancy. Just a 2-bedroom cottage on the Delaware shore that Min-ho had rented for the weekend. He stood on the porch, watching the ocean stretch endlessly beneath a pale morning sky. Waves rolled in gently, unbothered by past sins or future fears. Behind him, inside the house, he could hear Olivia humming as she made breakfast. The smell of coffee and pancakes drifted through the open door. And on the beach below, Maya was helping Kai, now 15 months old, build a sandcastle. The toddler was more interested in eating the sand than building with it, but he was giggling, his dark curls catching the sunlight. This was their first family trip. The first time Olivia had agreed to something like this, a whole weekend together, no supervision, just the 3 of them and Maya, who'd insisted on coming along as backup. It had taken a year. A full year of showing up, of therapy, of coffee dates that turned into lunches that turned into dinners. Of proving, day after day, that he'd changed. The court hearing had gone well. Full immunity, as promised. Min-ho was legally free, though he knew he'd never truly be free of what he'd done. The guilt would always be there. But he'd learned to live with it. To use it as motivation to be better. He'd expanded his work at the community center, now running classes 6 days a week. He'd helped 3 of his students get college scholarships. He'd prevented 2 kids from joining gangs by giving them a different path. It wasn't redemption. But it was something. You're thinking too hard again, Olivia's voice came from behind him. Min-ho turned to see her leaning in the doorway, holding 2 mugs of coffee. She was wearing one of his old t-shirts over her shorts, her natural hair pulled back in a loose bun. She looked beautiful. Just, taking it all in, he said. This moment. I want to remember it. She handed him a mug and stood beside him, both of them watching Kai play on the beach. He's happy, Olivia said. Look at him. He's so happy. Because of you. You're an amazing mother, Olivia. We're doing it together now. She looked at him. You're a good father, Minho. I wasn't sure you would be, but you are. You show up. You're patient. You're present. That's all Kai needs. It's all I want to be. They stood in comfortable silence, sipping their coffee. I've been thinking, Olivia said after a while. About us. Minho's heart skipped. Yeah? This past year, you've proven to me that you've changed. Not just with Kai. With everything. The way you've rebuilt your life, the work you're doing with those kids, the way you've committed to therapy. I can see it's real. It is real. All of it. I know. She set down her mug and turned to face him fully. Minho, I'm not ready to rush into anything. I'm not ready to move in together or get remarried or any of those big steps. His heart sank slightly, but he nodded. I understand. But, she continued, a small smile playing at her lips, I think I'm ready to try. Really try. Not just co-parenting. Not just friendship. But, us. Slowly. Carefully. One day at a time. Minho couldn't breathe. You mean? I mean I want to date you, Minho. Properly. I want to see if we can build something new together. Not what we had before, that's gone. But something better. Something built on who we are now, not who we were. Olivia. His voice cracked. Are you sure? I don't want you to feel pressured. I can wait as long as you need. I can. She kissed him. It was brief, gentle, tentative. But it was a kiss. Their first kiss in over a year and a half. When she pulled back, her eyes were shining with tears. I'm sure, she whispered. I'm scared. But I'm sure. Minho set down his own mug and cupped her face in his hands. I promise you, I will spend every day for the rest of my life trying to be worthy of this second chance. I will never. I know, she said. I know you will. You've already proven it. Now let's just live it. No more proving. Just being. He kissed her again, deeper this time, pouring a year's worth of longing and hope and love into it. When they finally broke apart, Kai's voice carried up from the beach, Appa. Alma. Look. They looked down to see their son standing proudly beside a lopsided sandcastle, Maya clapping beside him. We're coming, baby. Olivia called out. She took Minho's hand, the first time she'd initiated physical contact in over a year, and they walked down to the beach together. Kai ran to them on wobbly legs, and Minho scooped him up, lifting him high. The toddler squealed with delight. Did you build that castle all by yourself? Minho asked. Self. Kai agreed proudly. Mostly he ate sand, Maya said dryly. But yes, he helped. They all sat in the sand, helping Kai rebuild his castle. Olivia leaned against Minho's shoulder, and he wrapped his arm around her carefully, still hardly believing this was real. This is nice, Maya said, watching them. You look like a real family. We are a real family, Olivia said, looking up at Minho. We're just figuring out what that means for us. It means this, Minho said, gesturing to the beach, to Kai, to the four of them together. This is what it means. Being present. Being honest. Showing up every day and choosing each other. Choosing each other, Olivia repeated softly. I like that. Kai abandoned his castle and crawled into Olivia's lap, then reached for Minho's hand, pulling them together. They sat like that for a long time, the three of them connected, with the ocean stretching endlessly before them and the past finally behind them. Not a perfect family. But a healing one. Finally safe. Finally whole. Finally home. 3 more years turned like the tides, steady and sure. The community center was packed for the ceremony. Minho stood at the front of the room beside 15 teenagers, all wearing their new black belts. In the crowd, Olivia sat in the front row, 4-year-old Kai on her lap, and Maya beside her. Kai was wearing a tiny dobok, a taekwondo uniform, that Minho had bought him for his birthday. Appa! Kai called out, waving excitedly. Minho smiled and waved back before turning to his students. Black belt doesn't mean you've mastered everything, he told them. It means you're ready to really begin learning. It means you've proven you have the discipline, the dedication, and the character to keep going when things get hard. He looked at each of them. I'm proud of every single one of you. Not just for earning this belt, but for the choices you've made. The way you've committed to being better people, to lifting each other up, to staying on the right path even when it's difficult. His voice grew softer. I know that path isn't easy. I know some of you have faced things no kid should have to face. But you chose to keep fighting. You chose to be more than your circumstances. That's real strength. That's what this belt represents. After the ceremony, families gathered for photos and celebrations. Minho was wrapped up in conversations with parents when he felt a small hand tug on his dobok. Appa, when do I get black belt? Minho crouched down to Kai's level. First, you have to start training. And you have to learn all the earlier belts first. White, yellow, orange. That's too many. Kai protested. That's the point, buddy. Good things take time. Olivia appeared beside them, smiling. Ready to head home? We have dinner reservations in an hour. Dinner reservations? Minho stood, confused. I thought we were just doing pizza at home. Change of plans. Her smile turned mysterious. I made a reservation at Luca's. Luca's. The Italian restaurant where they'd had their first date, years ago, before the divorce, when they'd both been young and naive and thought love was enough to conquer everything. Olivia. Trust me, she said. It's important. An hour later, they sat at a corner table at Luca's, Kai entertained with crayons and a coloring book, Maya having offered to stay with him at the next table over to give them privacy. So, Minho said, taking Olivia's hand across the table. What's this about? You've been smiling mysteriously all day. I have news, Olivia said. Good news or bad news? That depends on your perspective. Minho's stomach tightened. Okay, now you're scaring me. Olivia reached into her purse and pulled out something small, placing it on the table between them. A pregnancy test. Positive. Minho stared at it, his brain refusing to process what he was seeing. I'm pregnant, Olivia said, her voice soft. About 6 weeks along. I took 3 tests to be sure. We're. Minho couldn't form words. We're going to have another baby, Olivia confirmed. If you're ready for that. I know we talked about maybe having more kids someday, but this is happening now, and if you're not. Minho stood up so fast he nearly knocked over his chair. He pulled Olivia to her feet and kissed her, right there in the middle of the restaurant, not caring who was watching. When he pulled back, he was crying. I'm ready, he said. I'm so ready. Olivia, I can't believe. I know, she laughed, crying too. I know. It wasn't planned, but it's perfect. He cupped her face. It's perfect. Everything about this is perfect. Appa? Kai's voice came from the next table. Why are you crying? Are you sad? Minho went to his son and picked him up. No, buddy. I'm happy. Really, really happy. Do you know why? Kai shook his head. Because in a few months, you're going to be a big brother. Kai's eyes went wide. Like Marcus at school? Just like Marcus. Can I teach the baby taekwondo? Minho laughed through his tears. Maybe when they're a little older. He looked at Olivia over Kai's head, at this woman who'd given him a second chance he never deserved, who'd let him back into her life slowly and carefully, who'd married him again just 6 months ago in a small ceremony with only close family and friends. This woman who was giving him another child. Another chance to be a father from the very beginning this time. Thank you, he mouthed to her. She smiled and mouthed back, I love you. They stayed at the restaurant for another hour, making plans and dreaming about the future. Maya cried when they told her, immediately starting to plan a baby shower. As they walked to their car later, Kai between them holding both their hands, Minho looked up at the night sky. 5 years ago, he'd been a man who ruled through fear and violence. A man who'd rejected his own son 3 times because he was too broken to see the truth. Now, he was a man who taught kids discipline and self-respect. A man who'd built a legitimate life. A man who had the love of an incredible woman and a son who adored him, with another child on the way. The transformation hadn't been easy. It had taken time, therapy, countless mistakes, and unwavering commitment. But it had been worth it. Every single difficult day had been worth it for this moment. What are you thinking? Olivia asked, noticing his expression. Just that I'm the luckiest man alive. You worked for it, she corrected. Luck had nothing to do with it. Maybe. But I'm still grateful. Every day, I'm grateful. Kai tugged on their hands. Come on. I want to go home and tell my toys about the baby. They laughed and followed their son to the car. As Minho buckled Kai into his car seat, the little boy looked up at him with those serious dark eyes. Appa? Yeah, buddy. I'm glad you're my Appa. Minho's throat tightened. I'm glad I'm your Appa too. So glad. Even though I ate your sandwich yesterday? Minho laughed. Even though you ate my sandwich. He kissed his son's forehead, then closed the door and got into the driver's seat. Olivia was already buckled in beside him, her hand resting on her still flat belly. Ready? He asked. Always, she said. Minho started the car and headed home, to their modest but comfortable house in a safe neighborhood, to the life they'd built together from the ashes of everything they destroyed. A life built on truth, trust, and second chances. A life built on love that had survived betrayal and emerged stronger. A life that was finally, beautifully, imperfectly theirs. If this story touched your heart, we'd love to hear from you. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next emotional journey. We've got so many more powerful stories coming your way. Drop a comment and tell us, what moment hit you the hardest? Could you forgive someone who rejected you 3 times? And where are you watching from? We absolutely love connecting with our amazing viewers from around the world. Your likes, comments, and shares help us bring you more incredible stories like this one. Don't just watch, be part of our growing family. Subscribe now, drop that comment, and we'll see you in the next story. Until then, remember, it's never too late to become the person you were meant to be. Stay blessed, stay strong, and keep believing in second chances.